right. All right, I think we're all set to get started here. Let me call over the May 28th meeting of the Albany County Legislature Public Works Committee. Majority Council candidate, would you please take the roll?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Ricard.
Present.
Mayo.
Here.
Cleary. Fine. Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Larillier. Here. Reinhardt is excused. Bergdorf.
Here.
And Smith.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Majority Council candidate. The first item on the agenda is to approve the previous month's minutes. Does everyone have a chance to read them? Would someone like to make a motion on them? Susan's going to make a motion. Go to second. Mr. Mayor, second. All approved?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Majority Council candidate, to read the second item on today's agenda.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Item 2 is authorizing an agreement with GAMI Air Monitoring LLC for air emission testing services. Water Purification District Executive Director Gaudio is here this evening.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yes, as indicated, this was a contract with GAMI Air Monitoring, LLC. This is for testing of our multiple hearth incinerators at both our north and south plants. This is a requirement by EPA for our permits. The contract term is for 3 years, and the total value for 3 years is $160,340.
Thank you, Director Gaudio. Does anybody have any questions on that?
I'll make a motion.
And a second it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, before we get started though, on the next item, I'd like to group items number 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Someone would like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve 3, 4, 6.
7, 8. Yep. And do I have a second?
I'll say.
Mr. Mayo seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Commissioner?
Good evening. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
This,
Hang on to it.
We've grouped 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8.
Yep,
Just so you know.
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I explained it briefly.
Okay.
No problem. No worries. Go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you, sir.
This is for the rehabilitation of, or the reconstruction of the 11th floor here, renovation project. AOW was the lowest bidder of the 2 bids for the general contracting services. Their base bid was $1.525 for the floor, with a contingency of $305,160 and an furniture installation of $22,000 for a total bid of $1,852,860 for the renovation of the 11th floor.
The only thing I want to add that I forgot to add before previously is that we'll let them present all these items we grouped together, and then we'll discuss them at the end, if you guys are all okay with that. And then we can ask all the questions after that, okay? Proceed.
The following one is for the electrical portion of the renovation project for the 11th floor. The winning bidder is LaCourte Companies. There were 6 bids on this portion of the project. The total cost is $422,000. The base bid is $47,700 with a 15% contingency of $52,155 and an security access control allowance of $22,000 for the floor. Condor Fire Sprinkler Services for the renovation of this project. There was only 1 bidder for a not-to-exceed cost of $182,620. The base bid of $158,800 with a 15% contingency of $23,820 for the sprinklers portion of the project. J.W. Danforth for the mechanical portion of the 11th floor renovation project. There was 2 bids. They were the lowest responsive bidder for a cost of not to exceed of $644,575. This includes a base bid of $560,500, 50% contingency allowance of $84,075. The last for the project of the 5 primes would be for Eckert Mechanical. They were the 1 bidder on this portion of the project. The project's not to exceed their portion of the project, $112,898. A base bid of $94,082 with a 20% contingency allowance of $18,816. Those are all the five primes for the 11th floor
Thank you.
renovation project.
Let me also say that Mr. Fine has joined us, Mr. Cleary, and Chairwoman Cunningham is also here. Thank you. Do any of the legislators have any questions on these five items that are grouped together? Mr. Berger?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Dave, what do they all total?
They total just about $3.1 million, right around there.
Was Danforth, you said the others, which were not sole bidders, were the lowest bidder. Danforth, you said, was the lowest responsible bidder. Was there a bidder below them?
Well, the slowest responsive bidder, because we
Okay,
had a couple more bids.
anybody who was
Right,
non-responsive?
correct.
Okay. The 11th floor, is it going to be, for $4 million, or close to it, is it going to be a stud-out renovation, or what?
Oh, it's going right down. We stripped the whole floor right down. It includes all new mechanicals. It's getting, the 11th floor right now is not even connected to our monitoring system for the HVAC system. So good, everything's right down to the store, right down. The abatement, we have to do abatement on the floor.
Okay.
So it's a complete rehab.
So you're down to the
Yeah,
exterior?
skin and bones.
Okay, thank you. Fine.
Is there any other questions? No other questions? Would somebody like to make a motion then to vote on these as approved for 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8 as presented? Mr. Cleary, seconded by Mr. Berger. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're going to go back to item number 5. Would you please say that?
Item 5 is authorizing an agreement with Colliers Engineering and Design regarding architecture and engineering consulting services for various projects in Albany County. Commissioner?
Yes, the Department of General Services put out an RFP for consulting services on different various projects for the county. Colliers was decided as the winner out of 7 proposals that were scored for this $350,000 two-year term, which this includes any project that anybody in the county really wants to do for either studies or if we need something that needs to be designed, smaller projects along those lines. That's what this is for.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this? Mr. Berger?
Yeah, who did we have before them?
We had CT Mail before them.
CT Mail.
They were one of the bidders. Their pricing per hour came in higher than the other two low.
But we used to have them for $250 a year, right?
Right.
So now you're going to $350?
We're going to
for 2 years.
$350 because
For 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. The product, the cost of doing business is just going up astronomically, as you can see, as we put these bids out, and even the A&E is going up. So that's why we decided, a 2-year $350 would be, because even a small basic project right now can cost you $50,000, $60,000 for a study along those lines.
Does anybody else have any questions on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I had a quick question. So you talked about various projects in the county. Are these ones that have not been designated yet?
They have not been designated right now. There's probably some that we're looking at right now, but these are for projects that come up that may be from the county executive level and/or maybe even the legislative level that we need to do, to get a study done. We can get it done right away. We can get in there, without having to put an RFP out to start the study, which pushes you off a couple of months at a time.
So is it more cost effective to do it?
It's more cost effective right now because you're also locking in pricing for 2 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other questions? Somebody like to make a motion on this? Motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Cleary? So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Now we're going to go to the 9th item.
Item 9 is authorizing an agreement with Gallo Construction Corp. regarding general construction services for the Spruce Street Parking Garage Rehabilitation Project.
Yes, this is, 2 years ago, we started, we did a structural evaluation of the Spruce Street Garage. took us a while for the design for the reconstruction of the garage. There was 4 responsive bidders, and the Gallo Company was the lowest responsive bidder at $6,722,800. We put in a 20% contingency of $1,334,560 in this. This is for the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Spruce Street garage.
Thank you. Do any of the legislators have any questions on Clerk?
Are the people who park there going to have to be relocated?
Yes, well, actually, with the county executive and the DGS staff has been working on finding them parking that is close by. We're trying to do it in phases, where we only dump half the garage. At one point with 70 spots, we made 70. We can get 70 spots in the MVP arena. I know with the concerns with the courts, and that's one of our concerns is how to do this project. keep the garage open, and we have been looking for extra spots for everybody to park.
Yeah, I'm not with the courts anymore, but it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough with any garage that you do, especially downtown Albany. But I think we got a good idea, and I know that the county executive staff has been looking into finding these spots for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Berger?
Dave, how many spaces are there total?
There's roughly 160 spaces in the
Okay.
Spruce Street garage.
Are you comfortable with the bids that were in the,
Yeah.
were in the sweet spot for garage renovation?
Yeah, we looked into it as far as the first time we put it out, we got no bids. This is the second time we put it out for bids because there wasn't enough time for the construction companies to look at them. But when the 4 bids came back, they were all so close. They were within a couple $100,000 of each other. And then, like I said, Gallo was the lowest responsive bidder, so that's why they were awarded the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions? Would somebody like to make a motion on this? Mr. Cleary? Mr. Cleary made the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Leroy-Yard made the second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Item 10 is authorizing an agreement with Syntax Systems for the purchase and installation of cloud-based fuel monitoring system. Commissioner Raimondo is here this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you. Yes, so our current Fuel Master system is from vintage 2007, and it's no longer being supported. So we're upgrading our Fuel Master system to FM Live, and it's going to enable us to have real-time knowledge of how much fuel is in our tank at any given time. Currently, we have to stick our tanks and go by the bills that we receive to determine how much is in our tank at any given time. So this is going to be a huge help to us with regard to just knowing what we have as well as billing.
Thank you. Is there any questions on this item?
Is that a yearly cost, $112,000?
No, that's the upfront cost. The yearly cost is more along the lines of the $9,700.
Any other questions on this item? Would somebody like to make a motion on it? Mr. Cleary made the motion. Mr. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Would you read the 11th item?
Item 11 is authorizing an agreement with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Saratoga County for invasive plant species control at various county-owned properties. And Laura DeGatano is here as well with the Commissioner.
Good evening. This is for renewal of our partnership with Capital Mohawk Partnership for Regional Invasive Species Management. This agreement allows them to assist us in managing invasive species at our county properties. They help us identify and map invasives. They can make recommendations on treatment and management plans and help coordinate education and research and actually assist us in physically removing some invasive species. The 2 projects we have planned with them this year are water chestnut removal at Anley Pond and Lawson Lake Park, and what is the other one? Oh, and honeysuckle removal at Anley Pond.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Hi, good afternoon. I had a quick question. So as far as invasive species goes, is this the funding, the total funding that you need, or are you in need of additional funding to do the work that you need to do to tackle this problem?
Well, this is zero funding.
Right,
so
but I meant
this is-
this, are you just relying on this grant monies, or is there other funding that you would need for this program?
We have, this isn't a grant, but in the past, we have applied for grants to do some invasive species management, and we've also funded some just through the county budget.
So I guess my question is there a gap in financial assistance that you need to properly manage invasive species in Albany County?
Yeah, it's probably an endless task. You could spend a lot of money.
I'm glad you, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're-
we're just relying on small priority projects and small grants right now.
Okay. Is there like a plan to manage the invasive species, or they're going to help you with that?
Not countywide. We've been just doing small plans for, I guess, single, like for Anley Pond, there was a small area of lesser celandine, and it was a small enough area that it could be managed, and it was a priority to us because it was a particularly valuable habitat. So for the management plans that we have are just for small areas, not park-wide or county-wide.
Is that something you wish you had?
In a sense, the need would be so great that you really have to pick the priorities of invasives that can be managed. Things like Japanese knotweed are so ubiquitous, you can't control them. But it would be helpful to have, among other plans, natural resource plans, a comprehensive look at where the invasive species are and how they can be managed would be helpful.
Okay, I think that's great. I hope that happens. Thank you.
Yes. Is there any other questions? Would somebody like to make a motion on this? Mr. Perry, and seconded by Mr. Bergeron. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please read 12,000.
Item 12 is amending resolution number 6 for 2022 and authorizing an agreement with CHA Consulting regarding right-of-way design for the New Partner Road corridor.
Hi, yes. So this supplemental will provide funding for the additional costs of design and right-of-way services for the addition of the roundabout to our New Carner Road project. Most of this is federal and state funded. It's 5% county funded.
Thank you. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Somebody like to make a motion on it? Mr. Berdorf made your motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Lorillard makes the second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please note that Mr. Miller has joined us. He's not on this committee, but he's a member of our legislative body. Please read the next item.
Item 13 is authorizing an application for the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Grant Program.
Yes, this is something that we apply for each year, and in recent years, we've received $85,000 to $90,000. This money pays for approximately 80% of our traffic safety instructor salary, as well as conference attendance, brochures, and bicycle safety equipment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this? Somebody like to make a motion on it?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Schmidt, do I have a second? Mr. Lorillard seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Could you please read 14th
Item 14 is amending resolution number 21 for 2023 with Plank Construction regarding soil mitigation work for the Knox Highway Garage facility.
Hi, yes. So based on soil borings, we were expecting a dense clay silt material in the area where we were constructing our new garage. Once the existing building was demoed, that was not the case. It was very, very wet, silty clay. That all needed to be removed, and that wasn't anticipated in the original budget. So we needed to augment the budget by $65,971.28. It should be noted, though, that the overall project cost did come in under budget when you take into account electrical, plumbing, and the other trades.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do you have any questions?
Good question. Who put together the original budget, Lisa? Was it your staff or an architect, engineer? Or
So our staff did.
Oh, okay.
And the original budget, pre-COVID, was about $5 million.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious why they didn't do test borings.
We did.
As opposed to saying, we believed it was going to be this.
No, they did borings outside the existing building footprint, and the existing borings showed different material than what was underneath the actual building, and it had to do with where bedrock was and where water was infiltrating. So, yes, they did do soil borings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the other legislators have any questions on this item? Somebody like to make a motion on it? Mr. Clary, second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please read the 15th.
Item 15 is amending Resolution Number 23 for 2023 with Gallo Construction Corp. regarding the installation of security fencing and paving work at the Clemens Highway Garage.
Yes, this was also an overage in the general contracting area of the project. It cost an additional $27,291.40 for additional security fencing and paving. That said, the entire project cost was under budget by $103,000.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Somebody like to make a motion on it? Mr. Mayor makes a motion, second by Mr. Cleary. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please read the 16th item.
Item 16 is authorizing amendment number 3 to Resolution Number 147 for 2022 as amended regarding soil replacement work on the State Route 85 Rail Trail Bridge.
Yep. So part of the Rail Trail Bridge project included work on State Route 85, which is paid for by the state. When the contractor went in and started to replace some of the drainage pipes, they encountered unsuitable material that was not anticipated in the project. It resulted in approximately $85,000 overage. So we need to amend Betty and Crane's contract by that dollar amount, and we will be reimbursed for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Somebody like to make a motion on it?
I actually have a question.
Go ahead.
It seems like on Resolution 54, 53, the last three, we've been off on budgets and they've been coming back for more money. Isn't there like a 10% contingency on most projects?
There was a contingency.
And it went over?
It did. So I can give you more of a story about what the budget is for the project and what what the overages were for. Some of it had to do with the Sprint line coming in over budget and the state's portion. But there was also, there were extra costs involved as the project went on. So that ate up the contingency.
It's just the last three have had extra costs, which is just weird. That's all. I mean, I'll move it, but it's just.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I don't have at the tip of my fingers what all the costs were.
No, I just
Yeah.
was under the assumption that like that 10% was in case they missed something, and then the last three people have been coming back for more money on top of that already.
Right.
Just
No,
something I wanted to make a
that's
point.
something important to point out, and I think a lot of the extra stuff had to do with the Acro Bridge that we had to purchase. It wasn't related necessarily to the original project. It was related to the extras for when Betty and Crane was employed to do the demo of the bridge failure. And then they were employed to construct the Acro Bridge.
Yeah, I'm just making a statement about, the fencing was extra and all that. It's just right here is.
Oh, are you talking about a different
I'm talking
project?
all three of them. Right there is $120,000 extra dollars that nobody anticipated, that's all. I just wanted to make a point to that, that was all.
Yep, no, that makes sense. And there was a contingency in the project as well.
But I'll move.
And,
Thank you.
yep.
Just a quick question to follow up on that, Commissioner. So a lot of the items went up, a lot of vendors went up because of COVID-related expenses. They just went up after the fact, and all the prices were hitting last year and this year, and they're off extension. Would you say that is true to some extent?
Well, yeah, well, we definitely priced the project pre-COVID in our original capital plan. But that said, when we finally got the pricing in, there was a contingency.
Okay.
And the contingency was eaten up in different spots. But that said, so yes, the general contractor had a contingency, but certain aspects of the GC contract went over. So we had to eat into their contingency more. But we can't use the contingencies from the other trades to make up for the GC.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Bergdorf, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah, it's sort of, I'm looking at the three of them holistically as well. And, generally, hopefully you catch stuff with test scorings. There's obviously a reason why we didn't, and that becomes an extra cost
Yeah.
that the county is liable for. The security fencing, I was going to say something before. Did we not have that in Gallo's contract originally? Was that a program change order? Or because Gallo, if they did it, they should be responsible for putting in the security fencing, and we don't really care if the cost went up or not.
Right.
Because they bid it.
Right.
Unless the county did a program change order to add.
We wanted a larger length of fencing. Once
Okay,
it
so
was
we did-
installed, we looked at it and we said, no, this isn't.
So
we
we
need
did a
an extra
program
length.
change order, and we
Correct.
we created that.
Yes.
It wasn't the contractor.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yep.
then the third one, I think we understand that was the rail trail bridge, and that is
Yeah.
a book that has yet to be completed.
That is true. Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Smith, you made the motion. Do I have a second on this item? Mr. Fine, you have it seconded, so we'll get you in there, get you on the hopper here. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
17 is authorizing an agreement with Gorman Brothers, Inc. for cold and place recycling on County Route 410 and County Route 414 in the town of Westerlo.
Yep, so we're going to use hold in place recycling on 2 of our county roads in Westerlo this year. This pavement treatment recycles 2 inches of existing asphalt, and we then put another 2 inches on top of the recycled asphalt as part of our hauling and placing contract. We use Gorman, we've been using them over the years, and they do a great job, and we would like to use them for our County Route 410 and County Route 414 project this year.
I was reading about this, Commissioner, when I saw this item in here. I just want to say it looked really neat to see. So I don't know if there's any way we could see it from a distance, not get involved in any of the
Oh, yeah.
individual. But it sounded really cool to look at the whole process, so.
There is, as a matter of fact, both the cold in place and the hot in place recycling, they have videos online
Okay.
that I could send links to.
Absolutely.
But you can also see it in person, too.
Okay, I wouldn't want to, intrude on your staff or any vendors like that, but
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Mr. Smith makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Clary, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 18 is authorizing an agreement with Highway Rehab Corporation for hot and place pavement recycling for County Route 55 in the town of Queens.
Yep, so this is another similar type of recycling whereby we're recycling 1.5 inches of existing pavement and we're topping it with 2 inches of new pavement in our hauling and placing. We haven't used hot and place in quite some time. They have a very good pricing. This particular road is very highly trafficked and very wide, and so we thought, and it's also not in a residential area. The hot and place process does use like fire. You'll see some like flames coming out from underneath the truck, and we thought this would be a good test road for this process.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this?
Who did this in the past for us, Lisa?
The same, highway rehab.
Okay. I don't remember seeing them for a while.
Right, yeah. They, I think the last time they did it was before I was here, and,
okay.
yeah, so.
Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Would somebody like to make a motion on it? Mr. Cleary, second by Mr. Fine. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I think that concludes our business for this evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Actually, Mr. McCarthy, could I say one thing?
Madam Chairwoman? Madam Commissioner?
Yes. Oh, no, I just wanted to remind folks at the April meeting of this committee, when the Lawson Lake resolutions were being discussed, I think we had mentioned that we'd be setting up a tour. We did set up a tour. It's you all have already gotten the email and the calendar invite, but just to remind folks, it's Saturday, June 15th, 8:30 at Lawson Lake, upper camp, or the lower camp, and we're going to get on a tour bus there that will bring us together. So people can carpool with people from your area, that would be great. But hope you guys can, especially this committee, if you can make it.
Sounds good. Thank you. So do we have a motion for adjournment? Mr. Berger, second by Mr. Smith. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.